Welcome to Point Lookout State Park in Maryland, a place where history, culture, and nature meet. This peninsula has long been cherished for its beauty and biodiversity. Here, marshes, forests, and estuaries create vital habitat for wildlife and a beloved destination for visitors. During the Civil War, this site held one of the largest Union prisoner of war camps, and soldiers trained and fought along these very shores. Today, reenactments and memorials keep that history alive, reminding us of the resilience of people as well as place. Yet the landscape is changing. Rising seas, stronger storms, and saltwater intrusion are reshaping the shoreline. Ghost forests mark the line where saltwater has crept into woods, marshes are shifting inland, and flooding now threatens ecosystems, campgrounds, and historic sites alike. But there is hope. Across Maryland, scientists, students, and communities are exploring creative, nature-based solutions. In this virtual journey, you'll explore how sea level rise is already transforming this park and how living shorelines, oysters, and marsh restoration can help us adapt. Together with the University of Maryland, Maryland DNR, Maryland State Parks, and Virtual Planet, you'll step into the future of Point Lookout and see how the choices we make today can shape tomorrow. This is an aerial view of Point Lookout State Park. To the left, you can see the Potomac River. In front of you is Lake Conoy, an oyster sanctuary. And to the right, you can see Chesapeake Bay. This low-lying area is at risk of flooding. Notice the tree line? As sea level rises, salt water seeps into the forest, killing the trees. With as little as 1 foot of sea level rise, which could happen in the next few decades, most of the park could be permanently inundated. With 2 feet of sea level rise, which could happen by mid to late century, the impacts are even worse. Let's head back to the ground. Take a look at the model below. Here is the historic Point Lookout Lighthouse, standing at the southern tip of Maryland since 1830 and guiding travelers where the Potomac River meets the Chesapeake Bay. Its weathered walls hold generations of stories, shaped by storms, rising waters, and the people who kept its light alive. The lighthouse is often called one of Maryland's most haunted places. With 1 to 2 feet of sea level rise, the parking lot and the access to the lighthouse would be cut off. In the next videos, we'll explore how Point Lookout's marshes, oyster reefs, and park facilities can adapt to rising seas. You'll hear from the scientists, aquaculture specialists, and park managers working to protect this place.
Marshes are biological engines. What appears to be a monoculture is in fact a mosaic of life. Plants trap sediment, recycle nutrients, and create a nursery for countless species as their roots stabilize shorelines and buffer upland forests from tides and storms. At Point Lookout, marshes are already feeling the pressure of sea level rise. Without action, these marshes may drown in place as invasive species, erosion, and saltwater intrusion threaten to unweave their delicate balance. As sea levels rise and storms become more frequent, marshes must move to survive. This slow migration upland is natural, with one caveat. There needs to be enough elbow room. When human development stands in the way, the marsh has nowhere to go, meaning as saltwater seeps into the forest, it kills trees from the roots up. Ghost forests are stark evidence of marsh migration and of the collapsing boundary between ecosystems. At Point Lookout, the impacts are not just ecological. Historical sites, campgrounds, and park amenities can be compromised as marshes shift and expand. Not all hope is lost, though. Restoration techniques like removing invasive species and reconnecting marshes to their natural water flow allow these wetlands to heal and even expand. Additionally, thin layer placement, where a light coating of sediment is applied, can raise marsh elevation, helping it keep pace with rising seas. Careful intervention and holistic ecological decisions allow the marshes of Point Lookout to continue absorbing storms, supporting biodiversity, and sequestering carbon as a living shoreline.
Oysters are remarkable. tirelessly purifying water by straining out suspended particles like algae, sediment, and excess nutrients. Artificial oyster reefs bolster these natural filtration systems using culch materials, which provide a hard substrate for oyster larvae to settle and grow upon. Oyster castles, made from concrete and oyster shells, are strategically placed to create three-dimensional structures that serve as a base for new oyster growth, limit wave action, and provide crucial habitat by serving as an underwater living shoreline. The Maryland Department of Natural Resources spearheaded significant oyster restoration projects in key Chesapeake Bay tributaries. In Harris Creek, large-scale restoration efforts began in 2011 and were largely completed by 2015, resulting in the successful restoration of 343 acres of oyster reef. Similar to these projects, Lake Kenoi presents a promising environment for oyster restoration. An average depth of around 4 feet allows for excellent light penetration, crucial for the growth of submerged aquatic vegetation. A shallow depth contributes to another key characteristic: limited recreational activity. While Point Lookout offers boating and fishing opportunities, Lake Kenoi is protected from more high-impact activities and allows oysters to grow unencumbered from direct human pressure. But perhaps most importantly, Lake Kenoi benefits from a strategic location within the Chesapeake Bay watershed. A mix of brackish water from the bay and mostly fresh water from the Potomac River supplies Lake Kenoi with salinity levels oysters thrive in, while also offering resilience against extreme fluctuations that can stress oyster populations. Oyster reefs protect marshes along the shorelines from devastating erosion by absorbing high wave energy and storm surges. Restoration projects demonstrate how thoughtful planning and sustained effort bring life to waters at risk from sea level rise and habitat degradation. Point Lookout stands as a beacon of what's possible when we invest in nature-based solutions, where every oyster laid is a step toward cleaner waters, stronger coastlines, and a healthier Chesapeake Bay.
As the number of park visitors increases and a coastal location creates climate vulnerability, the park store at Point Lookout requires modernization and reimagining. A concept for the new space proposes the new Boating and Visitor Services Center, accessible boardwalks, and a redesigned parking lot. The concept offers improved climate resilience and upgraded visitor amenities. The suggested relocation recognizes the threat of rising sea levels and increased storm surge. A more resilient location mitigates future environmental impacts and ensures the long-term viability of this essential park asset. This proposal not only safeguards the park's infrastructure, but also demonstrates a commitment to sustainable development and environmental stewardship. Another key focus of this concept is increased accessibility, ensuring that all visitors comfortably and fully enjoy the park's offerings. The gradually sloped boardwalks allow for educational viewing points that maintain a comfortably accessible path for wheelchairs or strollers. Additionally, suggesting a new kayak launch allows for marsh rehabilitation to prevent erosion with a living shoreline. Observe what the changes to the shore could look like, progressing from ecological intervention to habitat restoration. Within Point Lookout, the park store serves as a case study for implementing coastal resilience, improved accessibility, and ecological restoration.